Yeah, I found the Dominion community is actually really nice.
Yeah, you gotta try a little bit harder than that to troll the Dominion community, man. But we're gonna bring you this game in a second, so we just need one guy to get back to his keys, and then we will head on over. This is going to be Consolation Game 2 of the series. It is a best of 3. Currently, Golly is up 1-0, and I gotta shout out to our sponsors, man. Curse, LoLPro, Reign of Gaming, and Leaguepedia. Thank you very much for putting the tournament together. I'm very happy to bring this to everybody. Happy to put on a show for you guys. I'm very thankful that I'm able to cast for you. This has been a very exciting and fun weekend for me. And do you guys want to learn a little bit more about Dominion? Do you guys want to know how... If you guys want to know how to play some of these champions, maybe you don't know too much about Dominion, maybe you want to learn more, LoLPro.com is the website to go to. You go to LoLPro.com, click on their Pro Guides section, or go to LoLPro.com/guides, and it will take you over here to this page where you can learn how to play any number of champions, learn how to build any number of champions. If you want to learn how to play Jax or Sauron, from the person with the highest ELO ever in Dominion, Sauron. He wrote a guide for Jax, and he wrote a guide for Jarvan. He wrote a guide for Lysandra, too, one of the newer characters he put a bunch of time in. The commentator, I am Gandair of the gaming clan, Vato Clan, and commentating with me this event has been, or will be, is...
Azaraki Dragon.
There you
go. Yeah, you can find me at Azaraki Dragon. I make things a little bit easier than my friend Gandair over here.
Yeah, my gaming clan is at Vato Clan on Twitter and YouTube.com/Vato Clan.
No! Your thing is doing that again.
It's doing it again?
Yeah.
Okay.
Not as much this time, but it's still...
I can't do anything about that. The scene, man. What should we do?
I'm not sure. It seems to be impacting everything. Your overlay as well as what we can see of the client.
Okay, wait, hold on. Let me turn off the client. Does this lag?
No.
That doesn't. So it is client specific. And I'd cut the overlay, but the overlay shows all the nice sponsor names, and I really want to leave it up there because they're nice enough to put on this show. So I want to make sure people know exactly whose event this is.
So I don't know what our plan of action is going to be, but I can go ahead and list out some of the bans that we're seeing so far. Ahri, Kassadin, Kha'Zix, Jarvan, and Nidalee. So far fairly standard, and rounding out the bans, we're going to see a Wukong ban on the team of Golly. So they're all fairly standard. The Ahri is certainly a targeted ban, as we saw in the last game.
Okay.
They did really well.
Or people are telling me to bring the client back anyway, so I will do that. I'm sorry about the flicker. I've tried a couple simple fixes. I've tried restarting XSplit and the stream. I don't know what to do for it. I've restarted League even, so I'm out of restarts to push. My computer is plugged in.
My computer is plugged in.
It is.
Oh, in Instalock.Corki.
Corki Nabobo.
I don't know too much about this.
He was in the war.
Take this.
Corki. Corki's okay. There's a Jarvan ban, but I'll get to that in a minute. That's weird. So, we have Brand on one side. He has a stun, a lot of zoning ability. He's a great character to have in this game mode. Generic is a very good Brand player. Over on the other side, we have Amumu locked in. Amumu is a good tank. He brings some good crowd control to the table, a lot of AoE damage and percent damage. And then we have Corki Nabobo. He was in the war. He has a plane, and he deals true damage shred. That's good to have. It's a nice thing. We don't see Corki very often because Valkyrie's escape mechanic, but it's a little bit clunky. And Corki overall, I guess you could say, feels a little bit clunky. But it's also possible that we're going to see AP Corki. So if we see AD Corki, we're going to see sort of a mediocre Ezreal style play using Valkyrie to engage in escape and shooting and having true damage shred. But if we see AP caster Corki, and this could go either way. I'm only experienced with the AD, but I hear things about the AP. Haven't seen it myself. Only time will tell, that kind of thing. I'm really interested in it.
Talk about I can talk about AP+Corki in general a little bit.
Yeah,
I don't know about
do it,
the
please,
specifics,
because I'm not
but
as familiar with it.
3 of his abilities actually scale on AP. The only one that doesn't would be his Gatling gun, which is the armor reduction. So he's getting AP off of his Phosphorus Bomb, Valkyrie, as well as his ultimate bombs, where if he does go AP, a lot of AP items also give you some cooldown reduction on top of that, which is very standard for a lot of AP carries, and that helps him with spamming his bombs quite a bit as well, so that's going to do quite a bit of damage, and that's really what he wants to be doing the entire time. Now, I could possibly also see a Lich Bane because of how spammy a champion he is. He's going to be able to use an ability, then proc the Lich Bane proc, use an ability, proc the Lich Bane proc. Unfortunately, the downside of that is that he's going to have to be closer to whoever he attacks like that, and that's going to be hard for him to work his positioning out with that. But one thing that's underrated in terms of when people think about AP+Corki is Valkyrie, which actually does a lot of damage. Sort of like a mini equalizer from Rumble, but it costs his own positioning as well. And I know I'm basically finished with my point, and I hear a lot of stuff coming from you, so let's see what you have to say.
Okay, I was really hyped because Jace didn't get picked or banned this game, which is really strange. Rengar, Fancy Wolf Rengar, that is... I normally don't get to hype Fancy Wolf too much, and I really like to, because he's cool, and he's a member of the Dominion community, and he streams and a lot of other awesome things, and he plays Rengar, and his Rengar is pretty darn good. Rengar is like a diet caffeine-free version of Kha'Zix, and he can be pretty darn dangerous. Now, I'm really excited to see that because we don't see a lot of Rengar play, so this is going to be really cool. The only other person I knew that played a lot of Rengar regularly there was one person on Cheeseman, I think it was Krog, and I know Oni Snake played a lot of Rengar back when he still competed. So, like, percent hype for Fancy Wolf Rengar in this game. Rengar is a really cool champion that we don't get a chance to see very often. And then, on the other side, we are seeing that Corki that you were talking about. In addition to Quinn, a relatively new character, but people have been finding a lot of success from her recently. BB Pop has played a lot of Quinn. I think Buddha Rice has played some Quinn as well. I may be mistaken, so don't quote me on that. But Quinn's a really good character because Quinn can move around the map quickly and has blind, and that's awesome. And we'll see what else. What else comes with this team comp? This team comp is kind of crazy. We're seeing Katarina and Fiddlesticks as well. So the only regular appearing champion on Golly Y's team currently is Amumu. The other 4 characters are things we hardly ever see. We saw a little bit of AD+Corki a while back during the Black Cleaver meta, and Quinn's a new champion. Katarina we don't see very often because there's only a couple of people that play Katarina at a high enough level to use it competitively, and she's even tricky to play even if you know, like, if you understand her, because you have to be watching out for CC and things like that, and you have to be watching those resets, and you have to have teammates that know how to bail you out of fights. You have to have teammates that know to be a Shunpo target so you can escape, or know to be a Shunpo target so you can get closer to throw a bouncing blade or something like that. So it requires both you and your allies to know how to play Katarina in order to be really effective with her. And then Fiddlesticks, which we haven't seen Fiddlesticks in months. This is the second time we're seeing him in this tournament. This is going to be a really interesting game to cast. Over on the other side, we are seeing Cassiopeia, Nerdoc+Cassiopeia. Cassiopeia probably going to go in the bottom lane. I think Nerdoc's their bottom laner. And she's a solid bottom lane champion. I mean, Miasma really zones pretty hard. Her stain damage is good. She can set up ganks with Petrifying Gaze. Great champion for down there. Is a little fragile and killable, unfortunately, because she lacks aim escape mechanics, so you do have to watch out for that. And then we also see Bran, who we talked about earlier in the tournament several times. Bran's a great champion. And then we also have Leona+Orianna. Leona's a good tank. She's only become popular in the last few months. For a long time, people discounted her, but she started getting played, and people were like, actually, Leona's just fine. She's great. Orianna, I'm still not sold on, unfortunately. She seems to have fairly consistent damage output. Her damage output seems to be very high, but her ranges seem to be a little short initially. I mean, yes, she can get her ball out away from her, but it takes a couple casts to get it really out at its max range. She can delay for quite a while up at the windmill or other points by remotely controlling the ball, and that's pretty cool, but it's also a little bit gimmicky too. If people can get to the opposite side of her, then sometimes she has problems manipulating the location of it. I think if people spread out, it's a lot harder for Orianna to deliver her damage to them, but her damage is pretty high when she is able to apply it. And then Rengar's really good.
Yeah, oh yeah, Rengar is really good. He's actually starting to see a lot more love in Summoner's Rift as well. I know Westrise decided to play a lot of Rengar, and his triple Q does quite a bit of burst damage. Very, very effective against an assassin, or against a squishy champion like an AD carry or an assassin. So one thing I also want to look at is, Nyx usually goes for the bot lane on Team Golly, but I could see Nidalee going bot since he's picked up the Quinn pick. Quinn is a better solo laner than she is in team fights, in even a duo lane in Summoner's Rift. And part of the reason for that is that she's sort of weird to position. If you want to maximize your damage, then you're going to have to face one, maybe two targets at a time, because you need to proc your passive on whoever it is. And if you jump in to apply the passive with that ability and jump back out, then it's sort of a weird form of reposition, and it's not too reliable in a full-on team fight. So her positioning can get a little bit weird. So I want to see how they decide to work that out, and whether or not Quinn will actually be effective going top with the rest of the team. Even her ultimate isn't really the best team fighting ultimate. It's more used for initiations, escapes, or if you're playing a 1v1 or a small skirmish.
And at the loading screen for this game, we are going to have Sofanda Cox versus Golly in this game 2 of a best of 3 consolation match between the two. The winner of this best of 3, their team gets $100. Losing team, nothing. Corki is a great skin. If you want to intro the teams for me real quick, Azaraki, while I put the team names on the screen.
So, Team Clueless is on the blue side today. We have Generic on Brand, Cersei on Leona, Kaden playing Orianna.
Sofanda Cox on that one.
Well, Sofana, right.
Yeah. The other C name, not Cox, not Clueless.
Okay, so let me try this again. Sofana Cox.
Yes.
They have Generic on Brand, Cersei on Leona, Kaden playing Orianna. Rengar is being played by Fancy Wolf, and Nerdok is rounding out the lineup with Cassiopeia. Meanwhile, they are going to be playing against Golly, and we have Nidalee Orc playing Quinn, Golly playing the Corki, so he's been here since beta, and Armor playing Little Knight Amumu, and also, to round out their team, we have Mitsuru on Katarina and Nyx playing Fiddlesticks.
Thank you very much, Azaraki. I just got the names and everything set up. I am Gandair of the gaming clan, Vato Clan. I am going to be co-commentating with Azaraki for the remainder of this day 2 of the LoLPro Dominion Showdown tournament. Day 1 yesterday was really exciting, and now we're closing it out. There's going to be one more best of 3 after this series, and that will be the finals. And I'm really interested to see who's going to win, because both those teams are really deserving of that top spot. But first, we have to find out who is going to take home that 3rd place prize. Seeing a CV go down right away. There's a Clairvoyance on Golly's Corki. And the thing that's great about Clairvoyance, it only lasts half as long as Sweeper or Grez's Lantern does, but it has unlimited range. And that's a major selling point for it. And you get the Vision highlight on it as well, because you typically have the Summoner's Insight Mastery for Revive anyway. So those combine really well.
Yeah, and on top of that, you get Clairvoyance right off the bat, whereas I don't believe you can buy a Hextech Sweeper right off the bat as well.
You can buy a Grez's Lantern, however. You can get one of those right away, which is interesting.
Grez's Lantern. But the thing about Grez's Lantern is that some champions can't really use it very well. It's going to be going on a champion who could use the stats, like attack, damage, armor, lifesteal. Most of the time, those champions will end up going towards the bot lane, whereas Hextech Sweeper is an item that can go on most of the champions in the game. I mean, who doesn't like extra health, extra cooldown reduction, I believe it gives, and especially the movement speed.
Yes,
is really strong in Dominion. But it looks like Cersei is already going in for an engagement in the top lane. but it looks like Armor will be able to deter him from that, and Fancy Wolf getting blocked from the health relic by a great bandage toss by Armor. Unfortunately, he's gonna die for that little aggression right there, but Mitsuru going to be able to kill Fancy Wolf up in that top lane, and Cercio is now on the run with Vision on him, and there goes the Shunpo once again. The Sinister Steel resets coming up for Katarina the entire time, and she's almost killing Kaden as well, but they're going to be able to secure the windmill very quickly in the top lane. Meanwhile, Nerdok almost killing Nyx. One last poison tick might do it, but the potion's going to heal him through it.
Now that is how you play Katarina. You hang out in the back, you wait for the reset, you re-engage, re-engage, re-engage. Fancy Wolf coming down for a gank against Nyx. 7 shouldn't be too big of a problem, especially with Generic backing him up. An Armor doesn't connect with the bandage toss. He just narrowly misses it. Has to throw down the defensive garrison on the tower and has to make circles around the point in order to disrupt the capture on it. Katarina coming down from the top is going to put some damage on Generic, and Golly with Corki moving in on Generic immediately as well with the Gatling gun active, dies to an auto attack from Orianna, and this game has just been crazy from the start. These two teams putting on a show from the word go in each of their games so far.
Yeah, and I like that strategy that Sofanda pulled right there, where they lost the top tower, but instead of using revives to go back up and contest that, they used it to try to attack the Boneyard. And I think it caught Golly a little bit off guard right there, but at the same time, Armor with a great garrison as well as Amumu being so tanky, he was able to stop that himself long enough for the rest of his team to follow up. Nidalee going to go ahead and die in the top lane, trying to pop her ultimate to get out of there, but unfortunately, the windmill is going back into the favor of Sofanda Cox, and they will be able to take that. So all around the map, we're seeing a fairly even game. The windmill is being exchanged hands fairly quickly.
And Nyx is going to go back to buy down the bottom lane. Corki is going to secure the Storm Shield for his team. Let's keep an eye on Corki this game, guys, because this is going to be some really interesting stuff to watch. See him already getting the tome. I don't know if he's going to go for the Haunting Guys first, or if he's going to go for a different item. Amumu waiting around the bushes, looking for someone to... Oh dear, Generic! That's not very good. Takes a lot of damage. Pyroclasm does not change. Shielded by Orianna is very good. Curse the Sad Mummy locks them in place. Double kill for Amumu. Quickly swept up. No one to defend the refinery.
And there we go, Cercio is in the top lane. He's going to try his best to defend whatever he can, but there's just so much damage and there's not too much he can do alone. And they're going to be able to take the windmill back into their favor once again. Fancy Wolf edging Nyx off this bottom as well, taking the Boneyard and making sure they secure it. And Kaden, really good prediction right there, able to stop Armor from sort of just going right into the refinery is what it's called, near that mid. Just trying to sneak around a little bit. So once again, this game is back into the 3-2 point advantage, whereas it looks like, Golly doing a great job with his rockets. Very good zoning potential, and they can deny things like relics. They can deny captures really easily.
Very good stun by Nerdok in the bottom lane. Unfortunately, there was really no way to capitalize on that. The stun was great, but there was really no damage to follow it up. Nerdok and Nyx A7 able to kick Cassiopeia off of the point, and they're going to take that back. Meanwhile, at the top, Golly and Mitsuru 7 have a really difficult task of trying to defend this point against 4 people, and their odds are solar flared into oblivion, unfortunately.
Wow, great fight right there by Sofanda Cox. They're able to take this top back in their favor as well, so instead of starting to lose points, they're going to start taking some of their enemies' points down for their Nexus as well. But the objectives have once again went to the bottom lane, so it looks like we might see a little bit more action happen down there fairly soon. Nyx is already on his way down, and so is Mitsuru. They're going to try to push down this bottom tower. I don't know how effective it will be. Mitsuru going in for the ultimate already. Nerdok, the Ignite is ticking down on him, and Nyx is going to try to heal through the Ignite with his ultimate, and he's going to be able to pick up the kill right there on Nerdok. And they're going to be able to force down this tower, hopefully. Fancy Wolf getting exhausted. A great bandage toss right across the lane, and he's going to be able to shut down Fancy Wolf right there, and Kaden now forced to run. He might get killed before he gets to the safety, and yes, a Shunpo, a double Shunpo, right in and right out, back to Golly, and they're going to finish taking this little objective down here, and they also get the bonus that comes with it.
And over at the drill, Quinn not able to defend on her own. Cercio is going to neutral the tower. Someone may be able to get there in time to stop the full capture. We will have to see. Yes, armor will be able to arrive in time. In the bottom half of the map, they're going to have to bail off that point, but there's people down there recapturing it, which means there's an imbalanced fight that they can have up at the top lane.
And it looks like Nidalee is, taken down really low, but there goes the Zenith Blade, able to pick up the kill right there. And I think the burn damage from Brand would probably be able to secure that too, but Mitsuru getting a refresh right there. The Pyroclasm bouncing off of both of them, and that's going to be a very quick kill on the Katarina. So they're going to keep this top just in their favor a little bit as well. Golly forced a Valkyrie out of there, but Fancy Wolf is going to go in for it with his stealth, really doing quite a bit of damage right there. Golly exhausted on top of that, and he's doing, looks like the Curse of the Sad Mummy is going to save him for the moment, but Orianna's ultimate bringing it back to Fancy Wolf and securing the kill right there. The slow plus speed buff of Command Dissonance able to speed them up and secure that kill, as well as the bottom lane Nerdok. Very nice Twin Fanes pickup, and she's going to be able to pick up the kill. Meanwhile, Mitsuru is trying to secure as many as she can onto Kaden, but unfortunately Kaden's going to be able to get away with the speed relic.
Nerdok in the bottom lane is attempting to capture the Boneyard, but Quinn is going to be able to answer that pretty easily with her appearance there, and maybe able to get a kill on Nerdok. Yes, successful, quick defeat. Quinn winning against Nerdok there sends Nerdok back. Does not have a revive available. Quinn can't get the tower, unfortunately, because with Brand recently coming back to life, he's just going to move back down there in order to zone for it. And Corki also gives visions. Very important to note, in this game mode, vision is difficult to get, and they have both Quinn and Corki, two champions that give vision that we don't typically see in Dominion.
That's very true. Now, one thing I would like to point out a little bit is the fact that this game is actually going... It's closer than all the other games we've seen. It looks like Sofanda is in the lead of this one so far, but it looks like Golly is going to have something to say about that as Nidalee goes into the top lane. He's going to try as hard as he can to get secure some kills, and Fancy Wolf is going to go down to that AD carry right there and pick up the double kill. Meanwhile, Nyx in the bottom lane, surprise over the wall, especially with surprise party Fiddlesticks. Balloons everywhere, and they're going to damage Nerdok almost to the point of death, and there goes the last Dark Wind, and he's going to be able to secure that as well. Generic, lands the stun. He's going to be able to pick up the kill onto Fiddlesticks as well. So once again, that goes in favor of Golly. They're going to be able to take this game back a little bit, securing that windmill.
Yeah, and suddenly Brand in the bottom lane, quick pickup against them. Storm Shield available for Sofanda Cox's side. They could take that, and we'll see if they're paying for it, so they want someone to go over there and secure that. If you guys are playing Dominion, the Storm Shield is open, try to get it. If someone comes to interrupt you, just walk away. Don't get into that fight in the middle, unless you have backup waiting behind you in the brush somewhere, in case that things get really crazy. Vision effects going off at the center of the map. Both teams want to know exactly what's going on. Quinn using her vision as well. Nidalee taking all of the damage, and Corki's going to have to Valkyrie on out of there. Mitsuru trying to come around from the back, unfortunately, but not going to be able to escape Rengar, as she needs someone to escape through if she wants to disengage. Katarina being swept away, and now Cercio over by the drill, stunned by Generic's Brand, stunned by the solar flare. Quinn was not going anywhere for a while.
That was like a 5-second stun right there. They did everything they could to make sure that she could not move, could not use an ability, auto attack, anything like that. We had the Zenith Blade for the snare, Shield of Daybreak stun, Brand's Seer stun, and finishing it off with the Solar Flare, so much damage going out. Ooh, Golly almost able to deny that back onto Generic, but, still, Sofanda, once again, they have the windmill, they are taking down the enemy's Nexus health at this point. They're about 40 ahead, so it's still anyone's game, to be honest.
Well, it's not going to be Cassiopeia's game for very long, the way things are looking. Katarina comes down immediately, quick ultimate, takes her out. Amumu was just for extra insurance, but seeing that there are 3 people down here, they decide to make a 4-man push on the opposite side of the map. They take out Nidalee very, very quickly, and Golly now trying to defend as best he can, able to gun down Rengar, maybe able to gun down Generic, but no, not quite. The damage from Kaden sends him back to the summoner platform. However, Amumu wisely splitting away. They did not need 3 down there in the bottom lane to capture. Cassiopeia was dead, 4 were present over by the drill, which means that when Rengar died, he was going to come back alive and head over to this area, but there was enough time for Amumu to capitalize on there being no one here because everyone was accounted for. And now it looks like he's going to head back into the jungle, but he's going to run into things he doesn't like. Minions were able to neutral the top tower while all of that was going on, and Armor wants to keep this point neutral, but I'm not sure if he can.
He's certainly trying as hard as he can. The bandage toss goes out. Very good hit right there, but unfortunately there's not too much he can do past that. Xerxes got too much CC, but it looks like Golly is going to try his best as well. The Phosphorus Bomb as well as his ultimate doing a lot of damage. There goes the ultimate from Orianna right before she ends up dying, and they're going to be able to turn this fight around, and Armor is now the one on the run. Nidalee is back in the fight, however, and he's going to do quite a bit of damage. Meanwhile, in the bottom lane, Nyx is being taken out by Nerdok, and still, once again, in the top lane, we see Golly edging out this fight little by little. They're able to take this tower back into their favor, so they have... Once this caps 3-2 once again, and this game really, really close so far.
And the game has just been back and forth, windmill control all game long. Back and forth, every point on the map actually I think has been turned around a couple times. Nyx tagged the Seer, but no stun. Bandage Toss doesn't connect, so no stun. A lot of no stun in the bottom area of the map. Generic retreating towards the upper part of it. And Mitsuru's Katarina hanging out. She makes sure she kicks Fancy off that center relic because Rengar with a Storm Shield, that's even more burst, and you do not want that on an assassin that's as strong as Rengar.
Oh yeah, I actually think the Boneyard is the only point that hasn't exchanged hands so far. Nerdok now getting taken down really quickly. Doesn't have her ultimate up, not able to save herself, and going to be taken down really quickly. So it looks like we have a top lane push coming in from Sofanda Cox, and they're going to be able to take the windmill back in their favor, but at the same time, Golly down in the bot lane, they're going to be able to neutralize this point and take it, it looks like. Leona not close enough to do anything about it, and that will also give them the extra damage buff on top of that. So they sort of won out in that engagement just a little bit. And Golly, not able to save Quinn, however. So he's... Hextech Sweeper going to catch him out, though.
They tried to Valkyrie away, not able to do so. Mitsuru, there's a brand there. You cannot fight that because he has a stun. Escapes through the center relic, the center storm relic once again. Katarina using the Shunpo to that item on the map. And Fiddlesticks stunned, but his damage is still ticking while that happens. And that stun was rather ineffective as a result. He did die, but look at the amount of damage he was able to do to Nerdok and Cercio. They're going to have to recall after that and go heal, which means even less time on the map, when normally they wanted to sweep that fight against Fiddle and move up somewhere else.
And oh my god, a great wombo combo. Caden gets an amazing shockwave down, and that'll clean the fight up really quickly. But unfortunately, Golly, they're still in this top lane. They can still force this tower down, and Caden is taking the brunt of the damage right now from Golly. Phosphorus Bomb nuking quite a bit, and they're able to take down Fancy Wolf down to low health. Oh, a double Q able to pick up Quinn. However, Golly is still in the top lane doing quite a bit of damage. Cercio is here, however, going to stun him and allow Caden to pick up the kill. Armor is going to prevent any extra pushes happening from this lane, but Generic is here, able to try to make something happen, dodging all the skill shots, though. Armor's going to be able to get out of there alive.
And Amumu has to retreat from that point down the bottom lane. Fiddlesticks and Cassiopeia still working against each other. And the score was tied right now. And now it's not tied. But it's it just goes to show you how close this game is so far. Generic now taking a lot of damage from Armor, and Golly, Generic having to fall back. Armor bandage tosses through. Mitsuru and Fancy Wolf have a little bit of disagreement, and this time it seems Fancy Wolf actually got the worst end of it. Fancy jumps on Golly, gets stunned for his troubles. Corki manages to take him out.
And they're continuing on the fight. There goes a shockwave. Unfortunately, not able to save Brand, however, but they will be able to pick up a couple
Good
kills off of
Valkyrie
that.
from Golly.
And, yeah, for sure. Golly is getting out of there alive and dodges a Zenith Blade while he's at it. It looks like he's going to try to turn onto Cercio as Armor's catching him out, but it looks like who's getting caught out in the first place. And Golly gets taken down really low, and Nerdok getting a kill in the bottom lane as well.
Good bandage
looks like
toss.
Armor is on the run.
Armor manages to bandage toss through a minion, trying to get away as best he can. And Katarina able to shut down... Whoa, the jump through to escape the solar flare. Great play by Mitsuru7.
That was so streamlined as an escape. I really love seeing plays like that. As soon as she got the refresh, she was able to Shunpo out of the range of solar flare and keep herself alive. Fancy Wolf trying to kill Nidalee. Nidalee doing quite a bit of damage. That blind is so powerful, and it's going to allow her to win the fight right there. And that is why Quinn is a powerful duelist. The blind is just so strong against attack-reliant champions.
And the bottom lane, there's been a lot of pressure there. And now, once again, 3 people in the bottom lane for Golly. They're attacking Nerdok. Nerdok's getting bullied very hard once again. Shielded by Orianna. Orianna's coming down. Lots of damage on Golly. Golly gets grounded. And now Cercio, feared by Fiddle. The fear from Nyx's Fiddlesticks is so powerful, and it seems every time he manages to fear someone, then they can really capitalize on that.
And in the top lane, they're going to end up killing Cercio once again. One last bouncing blade is going to pick that up. And Windmill goes back in favor of Golly. This is still a really close game. Oh, unfortunately, Nidalee getting killed right there by Generic. And Generic is, or actually Fancy Wolf picks up the kill right there. Generic simply helped. But they might be baiting this out. They're sitting at the top, waiting for someone to arrive, and Armor misses the bandage toss. They now know that they're here. And Fancy Wolf going to be taken down really low, trying to kill Mitsuru as well. No hard CC for the Katarina ult, and she gets that kill right off the bat, gets the reset as well, and Generic is now the one who is on the run. He's going to be taken down by that last bomb from Corki, and they're going to keep the top lane. They're going to keep the windmill in their favor. Nidalee now trying to kill Caden. A great shockwave going to stall them for a little bit, but that's all it's going to do, as they're going to continue to secure the kill.
Clock stopped, 139 to 120, shortly to be ticking down in Golly's team's favor. Very, very close. The Nexus health margins this whole game have been around 30 points average. Very narrow. And Nidalee and Cercio having a little bit of disagreement. Mitsuru here. Oh, the Solar Flare does not connect, unfortunately. We do get to see that nice Solar Flare graphic for that skin. And Nidalee Orc diving in for Fancy. Fancy's health just plummeting, unfortunately, against Nidalee Orc.
Yeah, and unfortunately, oh no, Fancy Wolf is going to run right through Katarina's ultimate, trying to tanking the damage. He knew what he was getting into, but he just tried to kill Nidalee, and at the very least delay long enough for Nerdok to get in and pick up the kills. Oh, the poison just a little bit too late as the recall goes through, and Mitsuru now pushing down onto this bottom tower. It looks like all 3 points are still held for Golly, and they're still ticking down the health of Sofanda Cox's Nexus. 10 difference so far. It's still really close, but how close is it? What we have to see is Sofanda winning a great engagement and taking a tower back, but every member of Golly is together, and oh, Nidalee almost getting caught out. There goes the Pyroclasm, able to pick up the final kill. At this point, Sofanda has a little bit of a numbers advantage going into this next fight, and it looks like the fight will be in the top lane. Mitsuru, however, seeing if he can catch someone out, but being caught out himself. The stuns from Cercio doing a little bit too much, and Nidalee Orc going to try to kill Fancy Wolf once again. The blind's doing quite a bit of damage, but the CC from Leona is just a little bit too much, and meanwhile, Armor getting a couple of cleanup kills in the top lane, and Caden just barely picking up that health relic, not having enough health to go back into the fight, however, as Armor gets caught out by a Zenith Blade, and that will certainly be the end of him, and there goes the kill. So the neutralized point in the top lane, and it looks like this game will start to go back to the whole back and forth thing we've been seeing, as 3 points now in favor of Sofanda Cox.
Yeah. It just keeps flipping around. It's whoever wins the team fight gets the point. And it's just been that way for the entire game. I don't think anyone's held it for too long of a time. There haven't been any real on-tower engagements, but a lot of skirmishy stuff that ends up moving to the top points just after the fact. Nidalee Orc finding Fancy Wolf. Fancy Wolf, he revealed. Fancy Wolf is very revealed. Oh dear. Petrifying Gaze doesn't quite do what Nerdok wanted, unfortunately. And he is going to be defeated as well. Leona and Amumu on the top part of the map, so the upper part of the map is defended because neither one of them is killing each other anytime soon. And Amumu's heading down towards the southern part of the map, which means Leona's open to get the drill. Thankfully, he sees that on the minimap because Leona was walking in the fog of war while that was going on. So Amumu was able to respond to that.
And Mitsuru is now on the run currently, just going to try to back out of sight. Nidalee were actually taking a very risky engagement. Generic was right behind him, however, able to force that back into his favor. But at this point, Golly is now on the back foot, 71 to 95. It's still anyone's game, and in the top lane, Armor's going to try his best to finish this fight up. But both Golly and Mitsuru are coming up to the top lane. Caden as well as Generic are going up there as well, but Generic's going to arrive there a little bit late, so we might see a 3-on-2 for a couple of seconds, and that might be just enough time to set this in motion. Now they have to focus someone like Caden, they have to focus someone like Generic in order to win the fight and take the windmill back.
Katarina with a Blackfire Torch on her as well. Blackfire Torch, Hextech Sweeper, both really useful items to have. Bottom lane looks like we may have a 2-on-2. Quinn coming down. Quinn versus Fancy Wolf has been a thing all game long, but Nyx with the fear and the drain is bad news for Fancy.
Oh, and this is what Golly needs. They need to catch people out, and that's exactly what they're doing. All the revives are down for the team of Sofanda Cox. There goes the initiation. Curse of the Sad Mommy. This could be the fight that ends it all. Cercio is now taken down extremely low. They're getting that point. However, the entire time Kaden is down by the drill, taking that back in his favor, making sure that they try to stay at a 3-2 advantage, but all of Golly are now spreading out. They're going to take every point except the drill. This is huge for them. A 4-1 is going to bring them back into this game, and that is what they need. Mitsuru looks like he's going to try to kill Kaden at this point, and he's going to be successful at doing so, or at least knocking him back. Oh, the Ignite taking just barely, and there goes the ultimate from Kaden. Not enough to save it, but it looks like that will be a 2-2 points. The top windmill is being captured by Golly, but Fancy Wolf is running clean up a little bit. Oh, just barely missing the bandage toss right there, not able to do anything, but it's now 3-2, very close. The drill is on the side of Golly, however, and they're going to be having a little bit of an easier time picking that up, and they might bring this back to 3-3, especially, or even if Sofanda gets that little quarry down in the bottom left.
And Nix87 doing the best he can to stay and delay, keeping both of those champions busy in the lower part of the map. Golly wants to close in and stop Fancy Wolf, but he can't quite get there through Brand, because Brand will do, oh dear, he's going to Valkyrie in for it, and he gets punished. Armor not able to get there in time to be able to bandage toss Generic and stun him. Corki was looking for that stun. He wanted Brand to get baited into that so his team could bail him out, but it looks like it's going to end well anyway, and Micaiah has had enough of Rengar's stuff. She bought an Oracle's Elixir. You almost never see those.
Yeah, there really isn't too much to use the Oracles for unless it's a stealth champion. As we know, you cannot place wards down on the map. I guess I could see an Oracle's used if Teemo Shrooms are placed down. Certainly stepping on those would probably be a bad day for you. But at the same time, it is still 3-2, 28 Nexus health to 60. This is still anyone's game. It's all going to come down to whether or not Golly can hold these points for the rest of the time. They need to make sure they fight a good initiation. Netarare almost getting caught out, but it looks like Armor is going into the fight first. Generic, they're spreading out. They're making sure Pyroclasm doesn't land on more than 2 people at a time. Generic is taken down. Netarare is still alive in the back line, and Amumu is trying his best to make more action happen. As Cercio goes into the back line, he's going to be taken down. And oh my god, Golly is doing so much damage right now. Cercio is going to try to kill him, however, Netarare doing quite a bit of damage himself. Kaden almost taken down right there. There goes the blind proc as well as the pass from Netarare. He's going to win that fight. 41-28, they might be able to do this.
And it's going to be pretty darn close. Only Quinn active on the map. Quinn has plenty of health and mana. Her allies are on their way. And there's 2 heading down to the bottom. The neutral? Nyx? Did you just win the game, Nyx87? Is that what just happened? Is this what you guys came to see? This game, Nyx87 bringing it home, I think, with that capture. Because he's going to force people to stay there and recapture that when Brand wanted to be way further up on the map than he was.
All Golly needs to do at this point is to delay. If they know the movements of Sofanda Cox, they can go ahead and try to react to wherever they decide to push. And at this point, this is going to be the fight that ends it all. Surely, Fancy Wolf gets taken down first. The Curse of the Sad Mommy landing on a Generic, and Cercio, they're going to be able to end this. Oh, the Shockwave comes out, but it's not enough to stop them as Armor ends up landing the bandage toss onto Brand. There is going to be the Golly securing the kill onto that, and it looks like a neutralize coming up from Nerdog. He's going to
The clock stops! 7-28. They're trying. Defensive Garrison shuts that bottom tower down. Generic? Maybe Generic's the one who's going to win the game with that windmill capture. We will find out in just a moment. Orianna and crew are able to defeat Amumu on that side of the map. Fiddlesticks gets the point back. Clock stopped again. 5-28.
Oh my god. All Golly needs to do is capture a point for just a tiny amount of time. And Generic can't actually capture that point in the top lane. Oh no, Golly falls. He's not going to be able to secure that. And it looks like in the bot lane, that point has been neutralized. It's going to be a 4-1 cap if they kill Nyx. And they will do it. Mitsuru is the only one who can defend this bottom point at this point. 19-5. And Fancy Wolf is going back into it. They're going to be able to secure this kill. Kaden is trying to delay them as much as possible. They're going to have to split up a little bit to see if there's anything they can do. 12-5. This is one of the closest games I've ever seen of Dominion. And oh, the Brand passive just barely able to take down Netarare Orc. That is huge. They don't have enough people on the map. They can't secure the points. 1 health, and it looks like they will be able to take it. Sofanda Cox taking the second game in one of the closest Dominion games I have ever seen.
Sofanda Cox absolutely determined to get paid for this 2-day event. We're going to go to a game number 3 of the 3rd and 4th place match to find out if Generic is just going to be able to straight up rob Golly of this $100.
I still can't believe that match. Oh my god. Action everywhere. That came down to the wire. It was the last couple team fights the entire game that just went into the favor of Sofanda Cox down there. And we're going to go to a quick commercial break, I think, or we might not. I don't know.
Let's just do this game.
Yeah, let's just do this game. But at the same time, I'm going to take like half a minute to compose myself.
Yeah, we just need to run a ad, real quick,
ad.
and we'll be right back.